Ashling the Pilgrim. Can we use Ashling's ability to explode for lethal? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I want to take a quick second to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have a new Patreon supporter, Chris Manis. Chris, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Ashling the Pilgrim. This is one of my favorite decks. I've had it built for a very long time, probably around 2012. I put my first version of Ashling together. It's not one that I keep super up to date, but I did just do some updates recently, so been excited to get this thing going with cards like Endless Atlas. Should help with the card draw quite a bit. We took our free mulligan into this hand, so we'll play a land and pass. Ooh, a Goblin Lackey coming down for the Grenzo opponent, and it cannot be countered. So for those that don't know, Ashling the Pilgrim is 1 and a red. For a 1/1, you may pay 1 and a red, put a +1/+1 counter on Ashling. If this is the third time this ability has resolved this turn, remove all +1/+1 counters from Ashling. It deals that much damage to each creature and each player. Super sweet card. Generally, the plan is going to be to put as many counters on Ashling as we can and then blow it up. And then we'll use some damage doubling effects, things like Stuffy Doll, to redirect some of that damage. It's a fun commander, and it's not the best commander, but its ability is so weird and unique that people have trouble playing around it sometimes. I mean, sometimes you just get crushed, but in games that you don't just get crushed, people, they start to get really nervous when you start getting a lot of counters on there, and they're worried about getting all their stuff blown up, and they'll start doing weird things. So, it's an interesting commander. It's pretty fun to play. Today I'm joined by 2 Patreon supporters. First up, we have Kithron piloting Grenzo Havoc Razor. We saw this deck recently. It's a Goblin Tribal deck. It's going to do a lot of go wide kind of things. Pump up the Goblins, use the Exile ability, use the Goad ability. And Goad may not be great for us because this deck does not run a lot of blockers. Blocking is already really difficult. Goad only going to make it that much worse. The opponent going on the attack with Goblin Lackey, going to get some damage in and get a free Goblin from their hand into play, and it's the Goblin Trashmaster, so already off to a pretty good start. Things looking mighty aggressive over there. And during all the talking, I totally forgot to play my commander on turn 2, so that was a big whoopsie. We draw into a Fault Line. Sweet. Right here, I'm thinking I'm going to go Mountain, Worn Power Stone. Man, this deck really does not want to miss land drops. I'm actually a little bit nervous about this hand. An Armillary Sphere off the top would be really good. This Fault Line has the potential to take down the Goblin army that's amassing over here. The fact that we probably have to board wipe already anyway means that maybe not playing Ashling wasn't the worst thing. Next up, we have Chaotix 2075 piloting this Tana the Bloodsower, partnered with Bruse, Boorish Herder. So I think I know where this deck is going. Put Double Strike on Tana, do a lot of damage, and get a lot of tokens. Seems like a pretty good plan. Opponent going on the attack, looks like they're going to spread it around. Can get to exile a card from the top of each of our libraries. Goblin Lackey will trigger again. So all the goblins into play. Hits our Hellkite Tyrant. I'm actually okay with that because I really want to hit a land. Exiles a Terminate, and exiles a Mirari's Wake. That's a good one to get rid of. Ooh, Goblin King into play. So the goblins are getting bigger. And now there's a break through the line. Target creature with power 2 or less gains haste until end of turn and can't be blocked. Probably some decks that I need to be running that card in. Right now we could pump this Fault Line for exactly 3, which would be enough to wipe the Goblin opponent's board and kind of slow this game down. So Lifecrafter's Bestiary coming down for the partnered opponent, and a Dreadbore coming from the Dragon opponent, going to shoot down the Goblin King. It's a pretty good one to shoot down a Mountain Walk. Mountain Walk would make the Goblins unblockable against everyone at the table, so that's very good. Everyone playing red and everyone with mountains in play. So there's a Magma Quake, a little bit redundant, really hoping to hit that land drop right there, but ugh. This deck does not do good things when it misses land drops, so this is very bad. I probably should have mulliganed again, quite honestly. But what we will do is pass and then look to use one of our instant speed removal spells. Probably go with the Fault Line first, since Magma Quake can hit Planeswalkers, and you never know when a random Planeswalker might come down, especially the token deck over there. Maybe running Elspeth Sun's Champion, which is a very good token maker. So, and with everything attacking, we're going to fire off this Fault Line. Slow down the onslaught of goblins. Ooh! Opponent's going to sack and blow up our Worn Power Stone. We're in trouble now. We need to start hitting land drops. That hurts. That hurts quite a bit. There are 39 lands in this deck. There should probably be about 42, quite honestly. The land count has dwindled slightly over time. 3-2 Intimidate Boar coming down for the Tana opponent. And Grenzo actually passes. Grenzo actually passes without playing anything else. They could have recast their commander in the second main phase. Not sure why they didn't do that. Dragon Master Outcast coming down. Yep. We draw a treasure map. That treasure map is very helpful right here. We need to start finding lands very badly. Go ahead and scry right now. Vandal Blast is not the card we need, so we'll put that to the bottom. And I'm going to stop on upkeep to scry again just to make sure that we're hitting a land. We've already missed 2 land drops, and like that might be enough to make us lose the game. Grenzo coming back to play. Opponent can give it haste if they want to. Gonna play an Explorer's Scope, sure. Tana the Bloodsower coming into play. Seems pretty good. And the Boar are going to go attacking into the Dragon opponent. The last opponent, by the way, playing a Karrthus Tyrant of Jund deck. Actually going to be pretty bad. We have a couple dragons in this deck, so we'll need to be really careful about when we play them. And, well, I guess they're just going to scoop the game. So I guess we'll no longer need to be concerned with that. There's a Hearthstone on top. We're going to put that to the bottom. And a Doubling Cube, not the card we wanted to see. What next? I mean, Doubling Cube is so far away from being effective at anything. Guess we just play our commander. So we're going to put an Explorer Scope on the Grenzo. Grenzo going to go attacking. It's going to trigger the Explorer Scope. And we're not going to block because that block wouldn't make sense. So we might get goaded right here. Yep, opponent's going to goad our Ashling. The goad ability is really good, by the way, if you guys have never used it. Opponent's going to equip the Sword of the Animist to the Grenzo. Bruse Tarl coming into play. Going to double strike up the Tana. Tana going to swing into us, and the Blade Tusk Boar into the Grenzo. No blocks. Opponent's got a bunch of tokens, which is going to be really bad. It means we're going to lose Ashling. We're going to squire one more time. Finally a land on top. But I fear that it's already too late. Play the mountain. We could trade in some of our card draw on these treasures to play the Gilded Lotus. So Ashling going to go on the attack. It is forced to attack because of the goad. So Ashling goes down, takes a token with it. And I think our best bet is getting this Gilded Lotus down. We need lots of mana to make this deck work. So I am very sad to give up some of our card draw to do it. But I think it must be done. And then we'll play the Doubling Cube. And we'll pass like that. Grenzo going on the attack again. And I'm going to trigger Sword of the Animist and Explorer's Scope. Does not hit a land with the Explorer's Scope. If you can hit a couple lands early on with that Explorer's Scope, it can be huge, but there is a lot of variance there. If you don't have ways to scry, Sensei's Divining Tops, stuff like that, ways to manipulate the top of your library, it may not be the best. Opponent's just going to block with the token. Yep, no big deal. They do get a... Grenzo does get an extra land out of the deal, though. They are very low on cards, though. Oh, and there's a Blasphemous Act, so opponent just wipes away everything. No harm, no foul right there. And in that sense, I'm kind of glad we got the Gilded Lotus down. And, I mean, things don't look great for us, but we have some really good late-game pop in our hand. So if we can start casting this stuff, there is an actual chance in this game now. But this deck not performing nearly the way that it's supposed to. You really want to hit every single land drop with this deck. Timbermare enters the battlefield, tap all other creatures. Haste Echo. Oh, right, it's like Thundermare out of, what was that, Mirage, I think? One of those sets. Nyx Fleece Ram for our opponent. Interesting. Going to send the Timbermare into the Grenzo opponent. It's going to bring it back to our turn. We draw a land. Lands are good. Play the land. How much mana do we have? That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Potentially 9 if we tap the Treasure Cove, which we can double and do a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably the plan. So tap up everything. So we have 12 mana. We can get an Eldrazi with 12 mana. I'm actually going to destroy the Sword of the Animist. And we'll pass the turn. Grenzo coming back to play. It's got haste and cannot be blocked. Opponent's going to put the Explorer Scope on it. Sure. Going to swing our way. Yep. Explorer Scope will trigger. Does not hit a land. That's actually a really good play. So opponent's going to goad our Ulamog. And so now Ulamog must attack the partnered opponent. Hope the partnered opponent has some exile on hand. Otherwise things about to get rough for them. Kessig Dire Swine coming into play. That's probably not going to help our opponents against this Ulamog so much. There's a Trading Post. I think it'd be helpful. So I'm going to attack with the Ulamog. Opponent's going to get annihilated. That's a bad feeling. Opponent sacrifices 4 permanents, gets rid of 2 lands, 2 creatures. They take the hit for 10, go down to 29. We're going to tap up a bunch of mana, see what we can do with it. We've got 10 mana, which I want to play this Spine of Isha. Use the Spine to blow up the Break Through the Line. Break Through the Line down. Then I'm going to use the Treasure Cove to draw. We draw a mountain. Nice. Play the mountain. And then play the Trading Post. Ooh, that's a Sword of Feast and Famine coming down for the Grenzo opponent. And a Bedlam, oh boy. Didn't equip the Feast and Famine, though. I would have equipped the Feast and Famine. Opponent's going to use the Explorer Scope. Did not reveal a land. All the misses with that Explorer Scope. Really a lot of variance in that card. If you're hitting with it, life is awesome. If you're not hitting with it, life is not great. Opponent's going to continue to goad our Ulamog. Harvest time. When it dies, return to the battlefield under your control, transformed. That's going to bring it back to our turn. There's an Ancient Tomb. We'll play the Ancient Tomb. Attack with the Ulamog again. Opponent's going to get Annihilated again. So opponent down to 2 lonely permanents off of the Eldrazi. So right here, we're going to tap up more mana. Doubling Cube gives us 18 mana. So let's play a Chroma, play Batterskull. Living Weapon will trigger. Going to use the Trading Post. Going to sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. It's going to be the Spine. Sacrifice the Spine. The Spine will come back to the hand, and we'll get to draw a card. Cool little combo. I've never really used Trading Post before. So far, I'm liking what it can do. And we draw an Inferno. Inferno is sweet. And recast our Ashling. Opponent's going to equip up the Sword of Feast and Famine. Yep. Creature still can't block, so that's an issue. Going to play an Endless Atlas. Opponent's going to draw a card with it. Opponent's going to play a Mog War Marshal. Gets the token copy. Going to swing in with the Grenzo. Explorer Scope will trigger. Now, if they hit a land with the Explorer Scope, which they do not, then they can untap it with the Feast and Famine, and that's a pretty cool little combo. Opponent's going to continue to goad the Eldrazi. Seems like a pretty good idea. We'll discard the Inferno right here. So that's going to bring it back to our turn. And we draw a mountain, play the mountain. We're going to tap up all of our mana. We will double our mana, play the Spine of Isha, shoot the Bedlam. Then I'm going to try to take Chaotix out of the game. Pretty miserable sitting over there with just 1 land, so try to get lethal on them. Draw another card, sacrifice the Spine again, draw into a mountain, replay the Spine, shoot the Feast and Famine, and then put a counter on Ashling. So attack like that. We're going to send the big 2 into the partnered opponent, and we will send the Germ into the Grenzo opponent, and Ashling will stay back. And all of their permanents are gone. So partner opponent goes to 0, Grenzo down to 25, and now we should be able to block, which will reduce a lot of the effectiveness of their deck. Opponent's got an Echo trigger on the stack. Opponent sacrifices the Mog War Marshal, gets a token. Goblin Instigator coming down. Opponent's going to draw with the Endless Atlas. Opponent actually has enough tokens out right now that, like, the Annihilator won't just take them out of the game completely. Opponent going to go attacking. Going to try to trigger that Explorer Scope. I think they missed it again. You will block their commander, block the token. Both go down. No Grenzo triggers. We untap. The most economical way, let's see. Let's play a mountain, tap up all our lands, use the Trading Post to get back Worn Power Stone, sacrifice the Germ, equip Batterskull on the Ashling. And then we'll trigger Ashling 3 times to get rid of the blockers. And so this will be the 4th counter on Ashling, so to remove 4 counters from Ashling, do 4 damage to each creature and player. We gain a bunch of life from the lifelink on Batterskull. We go up to 50. We'll pump the rest into this Achroma. See if we can be lethal right here. Yep, there's lethal. And go to attacks. Opponent will get annihilated again. Sacrifices a bunch of permanents. And goes down to damage. So Ashling the Pilgrim getting there. Feel a little bad, though. I told opponents it would be a low-power deck. I forgot that there was an Eldrazi in this deck, so I'm actually going to take that out right now. So get rid of the Eldrazi. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.